So we're going to talk about cause and effect today. You should be wrapping up your compare and contrast essays about study habits and using research. Well, we're actually going to be moving into our next major essay, which is cause and effect. So cause and effect is very similar when you think about compare and contrast. You're looking at similarities and differences. Well, cause and effect is looking at every action has a reaction. So why did I get injured, or why am I feeling pains after I tripped and fell? Did I break something? So what are the effects of me falling, and what caused me to fall? So looking at these who, what, looking at the 5W questions, and of course, how. So how being how did this happen, being the cause, effect being why did this happen. So cause and effect, all of our essays, if you haven't noticed already, from the narrative to the compare and contrast already to now even our cause and effect, there's going to have to be a thesis. So always there's going to be a purpose. We're going to have some sense of order or organization for our essay, especially for a cause and effect if we're talking about why something happened and the cause of it and the effect. So cause and effect is going to be our order, and then our details are going to be explaining why this happened and maybe why this shouldn't happen again, or the causes and why. So cause and effect is really going to feel somewhat like a process essay, and that's something we want to avoid because we want to make sure that we don't get confused with the cause, which is the process in which something happens, and then how being the process as well. So cause, how is going to be the process portion of your essay, but then cause and effect really is why did this happen? We already know how something happens. We've got a process. We do daily routines every day. Now, we aren't going to talk about the process essay until way at the end of the semester, actually, right as we're going into conference time. But we want to make sure that we stick to why something happens rather than how. We do need to understand how because that's the cause, but really the essay is going to be about why did this happen. So don't get cause being process and effect confused because really cause and effect is just explaining the why this happened. And the reason we want to make sure we understand why is because we can actually get into what we call fallacies, or things that are not rational or concrete, so they're vague, and they kind of just scratch the surface. Now, we will be looking at fallacies later on this semester when we get to our argumentation essays, so very end of the semester. So we're going to talk about a couple fallacies, which we will come back again and talk about more when we get to argumentation. And the first one we want to talk about is post hoc fallacy, or after this, therefore, because of this. So sound familiar? Sound a little wordy, repetitive, going around in circles? That's exactly what post hoc fallacy is. It's almost like a circular, nonsensical answer. And so it really goes in a round, and you can't get out of that round. So just because something happens soon after something else does doesn't mean necessarily that's going to be the first cause. So putting the cause automatically right after something happens, that's not how it works. And the example we like to give of this is just because a child stole a cookie and their parents are getting a divorce doesn't mean that the theft of that cookie caused the divorce. The child could be acting out of that because of the divorce, not that necessarily the stolen cookie caused the divorce. This is in the sense of a backwards cause and effect. So post hoc, therefore because of this, does not mean it means immediately afterwards. So we have a lot of causes, we could have more than one effect. So avoid the post hoc. The other is so oversimplification. This is something I've already noticed in your everybody's writing from when we came out of our narrative and started working on our compare and contrast. We oversimplify things because we don't want to get into the nitty-gritty details. And so oversimplification can actually hinder an essay, very much like a narrative. It can even hinder more a cause and effect essay because we want to know all those details. We want to know all the effects and the causes. So making sure you do not oversimplify causes or effects. So almost every effect is worth writing about, even if there is more than one cause. So don't just simplify it to meet the means of a word count or a page count. Give us everything that you need to. Remember, details help explain to our audience what we're talking about in the most in-depth way possible to be concrete and make sure that we're covering the entire subject. So the example we like to give for oversimplification is just because you go to bed early doesn't mean that you're going to ace the test the next day. However, that is possible if you study and do what you're supposed to. So using some of those study skills. The other one is you must also take notes, study, and take the test. No, you have a choice to take notes, you have a choice to study, and to take the test. You could take notes and study and not take the test. That's up to you. So by oversimplifying, we've taken the choice away from the reader, the audience member, and have forced it into oversimplification. Because really, there are more causes and more effects here rather than just one and one. So I hope this helped you with your cause and effect review. This is chapter 13, so if you need to go back and review this, please do so. But I wanted us to sit down and talk about your cause and effect essay, because this is our next big essay, and we are going to be starting peer review on this shortly. We're actually going to start peer review on this on February 14th. We're going to spend this week building the essay. And this is a minimum of 2 pages, so 2 full pages. And you're not going to need any research except for your own writing. So you're actually going to be taking a piece of your own writing. So scrolling down to our topic, I would like you to select a piece of writing from another semester, maybe this semester, or if you don't have anything worth using from a class, or maybe something you have outside of class, because maybe this is your first English class or first college class. We want you to bring something in that is worth talking about. And this could be maybe from work, personal communication, or even enjoyment for my creative writers. But what we want you to do is focus on what you've learned in our class so far and ways that you could apply what you've learned in this class to the work you created. So this could be anything from formatting, introduction, conclusions, having a good thesis statement, having some examples, maybe using our handbook, looking at the different developments. We've talked about narrative, we've talked about cause and effect now, and we've also talked about our compare and contrast. So you've got some different methods of writing styles, and you could talk about how these were applied in the piece, or if you don't see any of these concepts from this course that maybe you didn't see in the essay, you could talk about how maybe they're omitted from your writing. So a couple of questions just to kind of think about is, did you apply what you learned in this class about the importance of audience? Or did you stop analyzing your audience before writing? How did you analyze your audience or not analyze? And how did that impact your writing? Also, looking at what the writing received from your analysis. How well was the writing received from your peers or from your instructor? So really, looking at this cause and effect, it is a reflection essay. And in a sense, it is a reflection of, did you do what you needed to meet this reflexive exercise? So taking this and looking to the future. So in conclusion, discuss how this is reflecting might impact next semester or your experience in the workplace for taking what you've done here and applying it, or how you didn't apply it in this writing piece that you've used for another class or a personal piece. So this is a reflection of your own work. So we are going to be talking about chapter 6 later this week, talking about revising, editing, and proofreading. So we're going to get some more practice in with our revision process. And we've already done a peer review, so now this is your own personal peer review. We are our own worst critics, so be honest with yourself, but don't be critical on yourself. Don't be heavily negative. You want to be positive and look for those things that, hey, this is from like 2 years ago. It's okay. I can use this still and take what I've learned in my English class and apply it to this piece and make it better. So this is a 2-page minimum essay that I'd like you guys to start thinking about today and start getting some things in and bring it in for class on Wednesday so we can really start building the essay as we're talking about chapter 6 and then going into the actual drafting and into our peer review process. So for right now, all we have is our major cause and effect. So please go back and take a look at chapter 13. Go back and look at your notes. Also, take a look at the video for Chapter 13 in Module 4. But we would like you to, by Thursday, have a draft going and into the works so we can start peer review on Monday the 14th. Another announcement is we do have end of semester conference signups open, and I have listed the times here. This is in our main coursework page, so please take a look at that. But if you have any questions, shoot me an email, hit me up in Discord, and I hope you guys have a great day.